Hi, loves. Close the door, dim the lights, and let me tell you what happened behind those convent walls. Tonight's story is one that will slip under your skin and stay there long after the bell stops ringing. Close your eyes for a moment and listen. Can you hear it? A single bronze bell, low and slow, rolling across frost-covered fields in 1892 Normandy. It calls 30 veiled women to prayer in the dead of night, but beneath the measured strokes, another heartbeat has begun to sound. 2 women. One is stone, Mother August, 52, forged by 30 years of silence and iron discipline. The other is fire, Sister Helene, 33, a novice whose laughter still remembers the world outside the gate. They were never meant to share the same narrow cell. A crumbling wall, a winter storm, a single act of mercy. These are all it takes for 4 feet of sacred distance to become an impassable, aching closeness. In the dark, habits rustle like secrets. Breath catches. A hand reaches across forbidden space and finds another trembling in answer. This is not a story of broken vows told with shock or scandal. It is a story of 2 souls waking from the long sleep of obedience, told in whispers, in the scent of lavender and cold skin, in the hush just before a kiss that will change everything. You are about to enter a world where every candle flame writes their names in light, and every bell tolls for a love the church never dared imagine. Stay with me. Let the bell pull you in. If you feel the pull already, subscribe softly, and in the comments whisper just one word, the kind of forbidden, breathtaking love story you ache to hear next. I'll be listening. Chapter 1 begins now. The first crack appeared not in the ancient stone of the east wing, but in the immutable routine of the Carmelite convent. It was a sound like God clearing his throat, a deep, groaning shudder that sent a fine mist of dust dancing in the slanted afternoon light of the chapel. Mother August, kneeling at the altar rail, did not flinch. Her prayers, like her spine, remained ramrod straight, a fortress against the temporal decay of the world. Yet the dust settled on the sleeve of her black habit, a grey fingerprint of fallibility on her devotion. The architect from Rouen, a man with spectacles and nervous hands, delivered his verdict in the parlor later, his voice hushed as if in a sick room. "Damp in the foundations," he murmured, tapping his rolled-up plans against his palm. "The entire east wing, Reverend Mother, the cells are unsafe. The mortar is little more than sand. It must be emptied for repairs." Sister Helene, tasked with serving the tisane, felt a jolt that was not entirely unpleasant. The east wing was her wing. Its crumbling state felt like a kindred spirit. She kept her eyes downcast, the white wimple framing a face that was still more woman than nun, high cheekbones, a mouth that had not yet forgotten how to curve in irony, and eyes the color of a winter storm. At 33, she had been a novice for only 6 months, a fact that sat on her like a poorly fitted garment. She had come to God not with a gentle sigh, but with the desperate, gasping breath of a shipwreck survivor, and the convent's rigid order was both her lifeline and her chain. "How long?" Mother August's voice was like the convent bell itself, sonorous, measured, leaving no room for question. 4 months, perhaps 5. The architect shifted his weight. "The masonry must dry thoroughly before new mortar can be applied." August gave a single, slow nod. Her face, at 52, was a map of her faith, fine lines fanned from eyes that had seen decades of surrender, a mouth set in a permanent line of acceptance. She was the calm at the center of the world's storm. "The sisters will be redistributed. We shall make do." It was Sister Cecile, the infirmess, who presented the logistical problem that would become the first domino to fall. "Reverend Mother, with the postulants from Lycia arriving next week, We are short 2 cells even before the evacuation. The only available space is yours. It is the only cell large enough to accommodate a second cot." A silence fell, thick as velvet. To share a cell was to share one's soul. The cell was the innermost sanctum, the place where the mask of communal religious life fell away and the individual wrestled with God in private. For the Mother Superior to share hers was unprecedented. Hayleen's heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. She risked a glance at August. The Mother Superior's hands, resting on the dark wood of her desk, did not tremble. Only a slight tightening of the skin around her eyes betrayed the seismic shift happening within. "Very well," August said, her tone devoid of all emotion. "Sister Hayleen. She is the last novice without a senior companion. She will move her things into my cell before complying." The pronouncement hung in the air. Hayleen felt the eyes of the other senior nuns upon her, a mixture of pity and quiet judgment. She was the sparrow, about to be caged with the stone. The move was a quiet, grim affair. Hayleen's possessions were few: a spare habit, her breviary, a single forbidden book of poetry by Baudelaire wrapped in plain cloth, and a small, worn ivory comb that felt like a relic from another life. She carried them into the Mother Superior's cell, as though entering a holy of holies. It was a room of profound order. A single narrow cot with a coarse wool blanket pulled taut enough to bounce a sou. A prie-dieu in the corner, its wood darkened by years of pressed knees. A small bare desk holding a crucifix, a Bible, and a single unlit beeswax candle. The air smelled of beeswax, old paper, and the faint, clean scent of lavender, the essence of August. There was no personal item, no hint of the woman who had lived here for 20 years. It was the cell of a soul already halfway to heaven. Hayleen's own cot, a temporary rickety thing, had been placed a mere 4 feet from August's. It felt like an ocean and a hair's breadth all at once. August entered as twilight bled into night. She did not look at Hayleen, but went directly to the prie-dieu, her movements economical and precise. The silence was a physical presence. Hayleen stood awkwardly by her cot, unsure whether to kneel, to speak, or simply to disappear. "You will maintain silence in this cell unless spoken to, or unless it is a matter of spiritual direction," August said, her voice low but clear, her back still to Hayleen. "Your prayers are your own, your struggles are your own. This proximity is a trial of obedience and humility for both of us. We shall endure it as God wills." The words were not unkind, but they were absolute. They built a wall as solid as any stone. Hayleen simply bowed her head, a hot spike of resentment piercing her chest. Endure. It was the word that had defined her life before, and now it was to define her sanctuary. That first night, Hayleen lay in the unfamiliar darkness, listening. She heard the soft, rhythmic sound of August's breathing, the faint rustle of her wool blanket as she turned. She heard the distant, mournful call of an owl and the ever-present whisper of the wind through the Normandy pines. And beneath it, all she felt the formidable, prayerful stillness of the woman across from her. It was like lying next to a cliff face. Mother August, for her part, did not sleep. She stared into the darkness, her mind a turmoil of uncharacteristic chaos. The scent of Hayleen, not the soap and water smell of the other nuns, but something wilder, like green apples and cold air, invaded her sacred space. She could feel the woman's restless energy emanating from the cot, a disruption in the quiet force field of her own piety. This was not God's will. It was a test of it. A test she was fiercely determined to pass. The convent bell tolled for matins, its deep bronze voice shaking the very air. In the profound dark, both women rose. They did not look at each other. They donned their habits by touch, and filed out into the cold stone corridor, two solitary figures swallowed by the ritual, their shared space already charged with the unspoken electricity of a story beginning. Weeks slipped by like beads on a silent rosary. The east wing stood open to the sky, its cells gutted, scaffolding rising like the ribs of some great dead beast. Hammers rang from dawn until the Angelus, and the air carried the sharp bite of fresh lime and wet stone. Yet inside the Mother Superior's cell, time moved differently, slow, thick, and watchful. The two carts remained 4 feet apart, a distance both women measured nightly with their breathing. By day they passed each other in corridor and cloister with the same courteous nod granted to any sister. By night the walls shrank. The narrow room became a crucible in which two entirely separate lives were forced to burn side by side. August rose first always. Long habit had trained her body to awaken before the bell, and now she used those stolen minutes to dress in the dark, to kneel at the prie-dieu while Helene still slept. She told herself it was charity, to spare the younger woman the awkwardness of shared undressing. In truth, she feared the sight of Helene's bare shoulder catching the first grey light, feared the way sleep softened the rebellious curve of that mouth. Some temptations were easier to starve before they fully woke. Helene learned the rhythm quickly. She would lie motionless, eyes closed, until the faint scrape of August's knees on the stone floor ceased, and the door whispered shut. Only then did she exhale. Only then did she allow herself to turn toward the empty prie-dieu and stare at the place where August had been, as though the lingering warmth might offer some clue to the enigma inhabiting the same air. They spoke little. A murmured pax tecum in passing. A quiet, the lamp oil is low, or Sister Cecile asks whether you require more ink. Necessity only. Yet words were not the only language in that cell. There was the language of turned backs, of carefully measured footfalls, of blankets pulled high to muffle a sigh. There was the language of scent, August's lavender and candle smoke against Helene's faint trace of apple and the green sharpness of the herb garden. There was the language of the bell itself, which called them from their carts at the same instant every midnight and forced them to walk side by side down the freezing cloister, two black shapes moving in perfect, unwilling synchrony. Helene's restlessness grew like bindweed. She took to lingering in the scriptorium after terce, copying psalms with furious concentration long after the others had gone, because the cell felt smaller every evening. When she finally returned, August would already be kneeling, rosary sliding through steady fingers, and Helene would feel the silent accusation, "You flee what I endure." August, meanwhile, discovered that perfect stillness was no longer perfect. The smallest sounds now carried weight, the creak of Helene's cart when she shifted in sleep, the soft catch of breath that might have been a dream or a suppressed sob. Each one landed on August's disciplined silence like a pebble on thin ice. She redoubled her penances. She rose earlier, prayed longer, kept her eyes fixed on the crucifix even when the temptation to glance across 4 feet of darkness became a physical ache behind her breastbone. One night the rain came, a hard, lashing Normandy storm that rattled the high window and sent cold fingers of draught beneath the door. Helene woke shivering. The wool blanket was thin, the straw mattress damp with condensed breath. She curled tight, teeth clenched to keep them from chattering, pride refusing to let her make a sound. Across the cell, August lay awake, listening. She heard the small, stifled movements, the quick inhale when a particularly fierce gust struck the wall. Duty warred with detachment. The rule was clear. Each sister provided for her own bodily comfort. Yet the infirmarian had warned that winter fevers began with just such a chill. August rose without a word. The floorboards were ice beneath her bare feet. She crossed the 4 feet that had never felt so vast and stood over Halen's cot. Moonlight through the storm, clouds painted the novice's face in silver and shadow, cheekbones sharp, lips bloodless with cold. Halen's eyes flew open. For a moment neither moved. Then August did something she had not done since her own novitiate. She unpinned the heavy winter cloak from her own shoulders and laid it gently over the shivering woman. Halen's hand emerged from beneath her blanket and closed instinctively around the edge of the cloak. Their fingers brushed, no more than a heartbeat of contact, skin to skin. It was the first time they had touched since the day Halen moved in. August withdrew at once, stepping back into her half of the darkness as though a line of fire had been drawn across the floorboards. She returned to her cot, pulled the single remaining blanket to her chin, and lay rigid, staring at the ceiling while the storm raged. Halen pulled the cloak tighter. It smelled of August, lavender, beeswax, and something indefinably steady. Warmth seeped slowly into her bones, yet she did not sleep again. She lay listening to the rain and to the woman 4 feet away who had just broken a silence wider than any ocean with a single, wordless act of mercy. When the matins bell finally tolled, both rose as usual. The cloak was folded with meticulous care and returned without ceremony. No acknowledgement passed between them. None was needed. The mortar of their shared life had received its first quiet whisper of something new, something neither of them yet dared name. Outside, the scaffolding grew higher. Inside, the distance of 4 feet remained exactly the same and entirely changed. The last days of October brought the first real frost, silvering the cloister garth and turning every exhaled breath into a small ghost. It also brought the quarterly visit of Pier Matthew Lecomte, the parish priest whose jurisdiction stretched over the scattered villages and the convent itself. With him, as always, came his wife, Madame Isabel Lecomte. Isabel was 38, tall, and dressed in the muted elegance that Paris fashion allowed a country vicar's wife, a charcoal wool gown trimmed with black braid, a high-crowned hat pinned with a single jet brooch, and gloves of dove-grey kid. She moved through the convent corridors like a draught of colder, clearer air, and every nun felt it. August received them in the small parlour reserved for secular visitors. Pier Matthew was a soft, earnest man whose sermons leaned heavily on obedience and the sweetness of suffering. He kissed August's ring with reverence, then launched into a gentle complaint about falling collections and the new Republican schoolmaster who marked the catechism. August listened with her usual grave courtesy, but her attention kept sliding to the woman seated beside him. Isabel's eyes were green, winter green, sharp as broken glass beneath the brim of her hat. She did not bow her head when August entered. She studied her. A small, polite smile curved her mouth, yet there was nothing deferential in it. August felt the look like a hand laid against the pulse at her throat. When the priest was called away to hear a dying villager, Isabel remained. Protocol allowed a brief private audience with the Mother Superior. The door closed. The silence stretched. "You have a new novice," Isabel said at last. Her voice was low, cultivated, with the faintest trace of a Parisian drawl. "Sister Halen, people in the village speak of her beauty as though it were a scandal." August's fingers tightened imperceptibly on the wooden arms of her chair. "Beauty is a gift of God, madam, like any other. We teach our sisters to carry it without vanity." Isabel tilted her head. "And does she obey the teaching?" "She strives, as we all do." A soft laugh escaped the younger woman. Some of us strive harder than others. She rose and walked to the window that looked onto the herb garden, gloved fingers trailing along the stone sill. I saw her yesterday through the gate. She was pruning rosemary. The sun caught the edge of her wimple and turned it almost white. She looked luminous, like a woman who has not yet decided whether she belongs to heaven or to earth. August felt something cold settle in her stomach. Sister Helene took the veil of her own will. Her belonging is settled. Isabel turned. The winter light carved sharp shadows beneath her cheekbones. Is it? She took one step closer. Forgive me, Reverend Mother, but I have watched women enter these walls before. Some come to be hidden. Some come to be found. Helene strikes me as the second sort. August rose. The movement placed her between Isabel and the door, an instinctive guarding of territory. You overstep, madam. Do I? Isabel's gaze flicked past August's shoulder toward the corridor that led to the novice's wing. Perhaps. Yet I feel a certain kinship with restless souls. My husband believes restlessness is the devil's hoofprint. I believe it is simply the heart refusing to be buried alive. The words struck like a bell in an empty tower. August felt them reverberate in the hollow beneath her ribs. For a moment the parlor was very quiet, only the faint ticking of the bracket clock and the distant clang of a workman's hammer on scaffolding. Isabel softened, almost imperceptibly. I mean no offense. Only be gentle with her, Reverend Mother. Some birds beat themselves to death against stone if the cage is too small. August found her voice. We are not a cage, madam. We are a refuge. Isabel's smile returned, smaller now, almost sad. Refuges can become cages if the door is never opened again. She curtsied then, perfectly correct, and swept from the room. The scent she left behind was subtle, bergamot, and something darker, like church incense burned too long. That evening, August walked the cloister longer than usual. The frost glittered under the rising moon, and every footstep rang sharp against the flagstones. She told herself she was praying. In truth, she was listening for the echo of green glass eyes and a voice that spoke of cages and restless hearts. Later in the cell, Helene knelt at her prie-dieu longer than was required. August noticed the slight tremor in the younger woman's shoulders, the way her fingers worried the beads until the knuckles whitened. When they finally lay down, the silence between the carts felt newly dangerous, as though Isabel Lecomte had slipped through the keyhole and now stood invisible in the corner, watching. August stared into the dark and felt the first hairline crack appear, not in stone this time, but in the careful mortar of her own certainty. Somewhere beyond the convent walls, a woman had looked at Helene and seen what August had refused to see, a heart still beating, still longing, still perilously alive. And for the first time in 30 years, Mother August was not entirely sure which side of the gate that heart belonged on. November arrived with a vengeance, stripping the last leaves from the linden trees and driving the rain sideways against the convent walls. One night, the storm was so violent that the bell rope in the tower swayed of its own accord, giving out a low, mournful moan that sounded almost human. The thunder began shortly after compline. It rolled in from the west like artillery across the fields, each detonation rattling the high chapel windows and making the candles gutter. Lightning followed, white and merciless, turning the cloisters into a series of frozen tableau stone arches, dripping gargoyles, the black silhouettes of hurrying nuns clutching their mantles. In the Mother Superior's cell, the single lamp had been extinguished early. Oil was precious with winter coming. The darkness was absolute. The two women lay in their separate cots, listening to the world come apart overhead. A particularly violent crack of thunder shook the entire West Range. Somewhere in the old scriptorium, a slate crashed from the roof and shattered on the flagstones below. Haleen sat bolt upright, heart hammering against her ribs. In the next flash, she saw August already on her knees beside her cot, hands clasped, lips moving silently. The sight steadied her more than any word could have. The storm worsened. The wind found every crevice, shrieking through the keyhole like a living thing. Rain began to drip from a new fissure in the ceiling directly above Haleen's cot, each drop a cold exclamation point on the blanket. August rose. Lightning illuminated her for an instant, tall, black-robed, hair loosened from its nighttime plait and hanging in a severe rope over one shoulder. She crossed the cell in 3 silent steps and stood over Haleen. "You will be soaked," she said. It was the longest sentence she had addressed to the novice in weeks. Haleen opened her mouth to protest. She was not a child. She could endure. But another crash of thunder drowned the words. August reached down and, without asking permission, grasped Haleen's wrist. The grip was cool, firm, impossible to refuse. She pulled her up and across the 4 feet of no man's land to her own cot. There was barely room for one, let alone 2. They sat side by side on the edge of the narrow mattress, shoulders touching, the coarse wool of their habits rasping softly. The rain drummed on the roof. Lightning flashed again, and Haleen saw August's profile etched in white, the straight nose, the stern mouth softened by anxiety, the pulse beating visibly at her temple. "I am not afraid of storms," Haleen whispered, because the silence felt suddenly unbearable. "Nor I," August answered, "but I am afraid of fevers, and of pride that invites them." The honesty of the admission startled them both. For a moment neither moved. Then, slowly, as if testing thin ice, August lifted the edge of her own blanket and draped it around Haleen's shoulders. The gesture brought them closer. Haleen could feel the warmth radiating from August's body, could smell lavender and candle smoke, and something warmer, indefinably human. Another flash, another crash. Haleen's hand found August's in the dark, fingers threading together without conscious thought. August stiffened but did not pull away. Their joined hands rested on the blanket between them, knuckles brushing. Minutes passed, or hours. The storm made time meaningless. The thunder grew distant, grumbling toward Paris. The rain settled into a steady hiss. August spoke first, so quietly Haleen felt rather than heard the words against her ear. "Tell me why you came here." The question hung in the wet dark. Haleen's throat tightened. She had rehearsed a dozen pious answers for spiritual directors, but none of them fit this moment. "I was drowning," she said at last. "In noise, in men's eyes, in debts and disappointment, and the certainty that I would never be enough for the world or it for me. The convent gate looked like the only door still open." August was silent, so long Haleen thought she would not answer. Then, "I was 22, August said. "My father had arranged a marriage to a man 3 times my age, whose breath smelled of brandy and whose hands—" She stopped, swallowed. "I knelt in the village church and begged the Virgin for a different life. 3 days later, the Carmelites of Campigny passed through on pilgrimage. I followed them. I have never left." The confession was raw, stripped of the polished serenity August wore like armor. Haleen turned her head. In the faint glow that preceded dawn, she could just see the older woman's eyes fixed on some invisible horizon. "I thought if I gave everything," August continued, voice barely audible, "God would finally make me clean. Instead, he has sent me you." Haleen's heart lurched. She tightened her grip on August's hand. "I am not a penance," she whispered fiercely. A longer silence. Then August's fingers returned the pressure, slow and deliberate. "No," she said, wonder threading the single word. "You're a question." Outside, the storm moved on. Water dripped steadily from the cracked ceiling into the tin basin August had placed beneath it. The first pale blade of daylight slipped through the high window and found their joined hands resting on the blanket, one older, marked with faint scars of discipline, one younger, ink-stained from the scriptorium, trembling almost imperceptibly. Neither woman moved to separate them. When the bell for matins finally tolled, they rose together, still without speaking. The basin was half full. Halen's abandoned cot was dark with rain. They dressed side by side in the near dark, movements careful, deliberate, as though the air itself had become sacred and easily bruised. As they stepped into the corridor, shoulder brushing shoulder for the first time, August felt the crack inside her widen, not a fracture but an opening. Light, dangerous and impassable, was beginning to pour through. December settled over the convent like a heavy white cloak. Frost painted the inside of the windows with fern like feathers, and the breath of 30 women rose in pale clouds during the midnight office. The renovations dragged on. The scent of wet lime and sawdust had become as familiar as incense. In the chapel, the sisters knelt in their appointed stalls, black-robed and silent, the only light coming from the sanctuary lamp and the faint glow of dawn that would not fully arrive for hours. Matins had always been August's truest hour, the world asleep, God closest, the soul stripped bare before the divine gaze. She had entered this darkness for 30 years certain of what she would find there. Now she was no longer certain of anything. The office began. The great silence still held. No voice would break it until the final psalm. Yet within that enforced quiet, August's inner world had become a riot of sound. Every rustle of Halen's habit 2 stalls behind her was a drumbeat. Every soft exhalation carried across the still air struck her like a hand against bare skin. She tried to fix her eyes on the tabernacle, on the golden flicker that meant Christ himself dwelt there. But her gaze betrayed her. It slid sideways, drawn by a force stronger than discipline, to the novice's bowed head. Helen knelt with apparent devotion, yet August had learned to read the small rebellions, the way her fingers worried the edge of her psalter instead of resting calmly, the slight lift of one shoulder that meant she was listening to something other than the Latin flowing around her. Tonight the candlelight caught the fine down along her cheek where the wimple ended, turning it to gold. August felt the sight like a physical blow low in her belly. Shame flooded her, hot and immediate. She wrenched her gaze back to the altar and pressed her forehead hard against her clasped hands, nails digging into her own flesh. This is lust. She named it brutally, the old familiar scourge. Name it and it loses power. But the heat did not cool. It deepened, spreading outward from her center until her knees trembled against the wooden kneeler. The psalms rose and fell. August's lips moved automatically, 30 years of muscle memory carrying her through the Latin. But the words had turned to ash. Damine labia me aperis, O Lord, open my lips. She felt the plea as mockery. Her lips wanted opening for an entirely different reason. Another glance. God forgive her. She could not stop herself, and she saw that Halen's head was no longer bowed. The younger woman stared straight ahead, yet her eyes were wide, unseeing, fixed on nothing. August recognized the expression, the look of someone listening to an inner storm louder than any thunder. Their gazes met across the dim space. It lasted no more than a heartbeat, but in that heartbeat the chapel, the sisters, the centuries of stone and prayer all fell away. There was only the raw, astonished recognition in Halen's winter storm eyes, and the answering ache in August's own. A silent question, a silent answer. A vow neither had yet dared speak. August tore her gaze away first. She bent her head so violently that her wimple brushed the floor. Her heart thundered louder than the storm that had shaken them weeks before. She felt suddenly, terrifyingly naked beneath the heavy habit, as though every layer of wool and discipline had been stripped away, leaving only a woman trembling on the edge of something vast and forbidden. The office continued. The sisters rose for the versicles, sat for the lessons, knelt again. August performed each movement with mechanical precision, while inside she burned. When the final blessing came and the community filed out in silence, she lingered, pretending to adjust her mantle, unable to face the corridor where Helene would walk 3 paces behind her. Only when the chapel was empty did she rise. Her legs carried her not toward the cloister door, but to the side aisle, to the statue of the Virgin that had watched over her nightly devotions since her postulant days. She sank down on the lowest step, hands clasped so tightly the knuckles blanched. "Mother," she whispered into the cold stone, the first word she had spoken aloud since compline, "what is happening to me?" There was no answer, only the sanctuary lamp flickering like a watchful eye. August pressed her forehead to the Virgin's marble foot and felt the tears come hot, silent, unstoppable. They were not tears of repentance. They were tears of terror and longing so intense they felt like prayer. Behind her, the chapel door opened and closed with the softest click. Footsteps, light, uncertain, approached across the flagstones. August did not need to look to know whose they were. Helene stopped a respectful distance away. In the great silence neither could speak, yet the air between them crackled with everything that must remain unsaid. August felt the younger woman's presence like sunlight on winter skin, painful, necessary, impossible to ignore. Slowly, Helene knelt. Not at a prie-dieu, but on the bare stone beside August, close enough that their habits brushed. She did not touch, did not look directly, yet the message was unmistakable: I am here. I feel it too. They remained like that until the sky beyond the windows began to pale. 2 black-robed figures at the feet of the Virgin, heads bowed, breathing in tandem, bound by a silence deeper and more eloquent than any confession. When the bell for lauds finally rang, they rose together. Their eyes met once more, Helene's wide with fear and wonder, August's raw with a hunger she no longer had the strength to deny. Side by side they walked out into the cold dawn, 2 steps closer than they had ever been before, the distance between their souls shrinking even as the prescribed 4 feet between their bodies remained inviolate. The unspoken matins had ended. Something new, trembling and alive, had begun. The frost lingered well into December, turning the convent garden into a brittle kingdom of silver and grey. Only the rosemary held its green, stubborn and fragrant, thrusting sharp needles through the ice. Helene had claimed the herb garden as her domain almost from the first day, and now she spent every free hour there, kneeling among the low beds, gloved fingers snapping dead leaves, breath pluming white in the cold. On the feast of St. Lucy, the sky hung low and pewter, threatening snow. Helene worked alone, the other outdoor sisters driven inside by the bite in the air. She did not feel the cold. Something inside her burned steadily now, a small, steady coal that had been kindled in the chapel darkness and fed by every accidental brush of sleeves in the corridor, every shared breath in the narrow cell. She did not hear the gate open. She only became aware of another presence when a shadow fell across the rosemary bed. Isabelle Lecomte stood on the gravel path, wrapped in a long, sable-lined cloak, cheeks whipped pink by the wind. Her green eyes were brighter than the winter daylight, and they fixed on Haleen with unsettling intensity. "Forgive the intrusion, sister," Isabel said, voice low enough that it would not carry to the windows overlooking the garden. "I told the portress I had brought dried currants for Mother August's throat. She let me pass." Haleen rose slowly, brushing soil from her apron. Her heart beat hard against her ribs. She had seen the vicar's wife from a distance, had felt those eyes upon her during Mass, but they had never spoken. Isabel stepped closer, boots crunching on frost-stiff gravel. "You're even more beautiful close to," she murmured, almost to herself. Then, louder, "Tell me, does the peace here satisfy you?" The question was a blade slipped between ribs. Haleen opened her mouth, closed it again. The proper answer sat ready on her tongue. "Yes, madam, God's peace surpasses all understanding," but it felt suddenly like a lie too heavy to lift. Isabel smiled, not kindly. "I thought not." She reached out and before Haleen could step back, brushed a fleck of earth from the novice's cheek with a gloved fingertip. The touch was light, yet it scorched. "I know what it is to be watched," Isabel continued, voice velvet over steel. "My husband watches with the hunger of a man who believes desire is prayer. Your reverend mother watches with the hunger of a woman who believes desire is damnation. Tell me, little novice, which hunger frightens you more?" Haleen's breath caught. She felt suddenly transparent, as though Isabel could see the nights she lay rigid in her cart listening for August's breathing, the mornings she lingered in the chapel hoping for one more unguarded glance. "I am a bride of Christ," she managed. Isabel laughed softly. "So was I once, in a different way." She leaned closer, the scent of bergamot and cold air enveloping Haleen. "Listen well. I have no claim on you. Matthew's fleeting fancy passed like a fever. But she does, and she will destroy herself before she admits it. Women like August believe love is a luxury they forfeited when they took the veil. They would rather die of thirst than drink from the cup placed at their lips." Haleen found her voice. "You speak of things you have no right." "I speak of things I recognize." Isabel's eyes narrowed. "I have watched her watch you. I have seen the way her hand trembles when she gives you the discipline during chapter. She is starving, Haleen, and starvation makes monsters of saints." Snow began to fall then, fat, silent flakes that melted the moment they touched their habits. Isabel drew her cloak tighter. "I will not interfere again," she said. "But remember this, cages have two kinds of bars. Some are made by men and popes and centuries of fear. Others we build ourselves, out of pride and terror of our own hearts. Choose carefully which bars you grip." She turned to leave, then paused. Over her shoulder, almost gently, "If you ever need a friend beyond these walls, the vicarage door is not always locked." The gate closed behind her with a soft iron thud. Haleen stood among the rosemary until the snow covered her shoulders, until her fingers were numb inside the gloves. Isabel's words circled like wolves. She will destroy herself. Starvation makes monsters of saints. Choose carefully which bars you grip. That evening in the cell, August noticed the damp hem of Haleen's habit, the faint scent of snow and crushed rosemary that clung to her skin. She said nothing, only watched as Haleen knelt longer than usual, forehead pressed hard against clasped hands as though trying to drive something out, or in. When they lay down, the silence between the carts was different, heavier, expectant. Haleen stared at the ceiling and felt the bars of two cages pressing against her ribs, one built by the church, one built by August's fear. And for the first time she wondered which of them was truly the prisoner. Outside, the snow continued to fall, soft and relentless, covering the garden, the cloisters, the entire world in a white hush that felt like the silence before a confession. The convent kept the feast with particular splendor. From vespers onward the chapel glowed with extra candles. Beeswax tapers in iron sconces lined the choir stalls, turning the stone vaults into a cavern of trembling gold. Myrrh and frankincense smoked in silver censers until the air itself felt thick enough to taste. The sisters sang the Salve Regina with voices that rose like wings, and for once the great silence was postponed until after the midnight mass. August presided from her carved stall at the front, hands folded, face serene. No one watching could have guessed that the serenity was a mask stretched so thin it hurt. She had spent the entire afternoon in the confessional of Pier Matthew, kneeling on the cold kneeler while he murmured absolution over sins she could not name aloud. The words had burned in her throat: I desire, I covet, I love. Instead, she had whispered only distractions in prayer and lack of charity. He had given her 3 Our Fathers and a gentle smile. She had left the box feeling dirtier than when she entered. Now the Mass began. Helene, as the newest professed voice in the Schola, had been chosen to sing the verse of the Magnificat alone. When her turn came, she rose, white veil luminous in the candlelight, and opened her mouth. Magnificat anima me dominum. The notes were pure, almost fragile, yet they carried to the farthest arch. August felt each syllable strike her sternum like a small silver hammer. Helene's voice was not the trained perfection of the older sisters. It was raw, trembling with something that had nothing to do with music, and everything to do with the 4 feet that separated their cots every night. August's fingers tightened on the edge of her stall until the wood creaked. When Helene reached de passut potens decide et exaltavit humiles, her gaze lifted. Across the flickering sea of candles, she looked straight at August. The words, he hath put down the mighty from their seat, and hath exalted the humble, hung between them like a dare. August felt her breath stop. In that instant, the chapel narrowed to 2 pairs of eyes, one winter storm grey, one dark with 30 years of denial. The rest of the world, choir, candles, incense, dissolved. There was only the naked truth passing from one soul to another. I see you. I know you. I will not look away. The verse ended. Helene sat. The Mass continued. August never knew how she endured the rest of the hour. After the final blessing, the community processed out in pairs, mantles drawn against the cold, to the refectory for the small collation permitted on great feasts, hot spiced wine and honey cakes. August excused herself, pleading headache, and slipped away to the cloister. Snow had begun again, thick and silent. She walked the covered walkway slowly, boots crunching on scattered frost, until she reached the door that led to the herb garden. She did not know why her feet carried her there until she saw the single set of footprints already marking the fresh snow. Helene stood beneath the bare linden tree, face tilted to the falling flakes, arms wrapped around herself as though holding something in. She had not put on her mantle. The black habit was already dusted white at the shoulders. August stopped at the threshold. The rule, prudence, 30 years of obedience screamed at her to turn back. Instead, she stepped into the garden and closed the door behind her. The snow muffled every sound. There was only the soft hush of falling flakes and the ragged sound of 2 women breathing. Helene turned. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears and something fiercer. I cannot breathe in there anymore, she said, voice cracking. Every psalm feels like a lie. Every candle flame burns your name into me. August took one involuntary step forward, then another, until only a hand's breadth separated them. Snowflakes caught on Helene's lashes. One slid down her cheek like a tear she had not yet allowed herself. You must not say these things, August whispered, but the words had no force. They were a plea, not a command. I must, Helene answered. Because you will not. Because you will let yourself die of this before you will let both of us die before you admit that what is happening is not temptation, it is love. The word struck August like a physical blow. Love. Forbidden, unthinkable, blasphemous love. She felt her knees buckle. She caught herself against the rough trunk of the linden. Helene closed the final distance. Slowly, deliberately, she raised both hands and laid them against August's cheeks. The gloves had been lost somewhere. Her palms were bare, cold, trembling. "I am not asking you to break your vows tonight," she said, voice shaking but steady. "I am only asking you to stop breaking your heart." August closed her eyes. She felt the snow settling on her veil, Helene's hands warming against her skin, the wild hammering of her own pulse. Every certainty she had built her life upon crumbled like wet ash. "I am afraid," she breathed. It was the first wholly honest sentence she had spoken in years. "So am I," Helene answered, "but I am more afraid of living the rest of my life without ever having touched you." A sob tore itself from August's throat. She turned her face into Helene's palm, pressing lips to the cold lifeline there in a kiss that was half benediction, half confession. They stood like that, foreheads touching, breath mingling, snow falling around them in a white curtain, until the bell for the return to the great silence rang across the garth. Only then did they separate, slowly, as though waking from the same dream. No vow was broken. No habit fell. Yet when they walked back across the garden side by side, the footprints they left were no longer separate. They overlapped, intertwined, impossible to tell apart in the fresh snow. Behind them, the linden tree stood silent witness, branches heavy with the weight of something new and perilous and holy. Christmas came and went like a held breath. The creche in the cloister garth glowed with candles each night, the infant Christ carved from pale linden wood, arms outstretched in helpless welcome. August passed it every evening on her way to Compline and felt the wooden child's gaze follow her, gentle and merciless. Nothing had changed, and everything had. The east wing remained open to the sky, scaffolding wrapped in frost. The two cots still stood 4 feet apart, yet the air in the cell had become charged, as though lightning had struck indoors and left the walls humming. They had not touched again since the night in the snow. They had not needed to. A single look across the refectory table, the accidental brush of fingers when passing the psalter during choir, the way August now left the lamp burning a fraction longer so Helene could find her way to the prie-dieu without stumbling. These were the new sacraments, small, silent, and devastating. Helene's face grew thinner. Shadows bloomed beneath her eyes like bruises. She sang the offices with a fervor that bordered on violence, as though trying to scour something out of herself with sheer sound. In chapter, when the weekly culpa was read and minor faults confessed, her voice rang out clear and terrible. "My heart is distracted in the presence of God." The other sisters murmured sympathy. August, presiding, felt the words like a whip across her own back. August herself moved through the days encased in ice. She fasted more rigorously than the rule required, rose an hour before the bell to lie prostrate on the freezing chapel floor, whispered the discipline of the scourge until her shoulders bled beneath the habit. None of it helped. The hunger only grew sharper, refined into something almost exquisite. On the feast of St. Agnes, 21 January 1893, the postulants from Lycia were to make their first promises. The ceremony required the entire community to be present in the chapter house, and the east wing was still uninhabitable. That morning, Sister Cecile approached August with apologetic eyes. "Reverend Mother, the only space large enough for the temporary dormitory is the old warming room behind the kitchens." but it has only one small stove. The postulants will freeze. If we moved your cell furniture into the larger guest chamber on the south range, just until the repairs are finished. August heard nothing after the first sentence. One cell. One stove. One door that would close on the two of them every night with no pretense of separate carts, no 4 feet of consecrated distance. She opened her mouth to refuse. The word would not come. Helene was waiting in the corridor outside the parlor, summoned as part of the rearrangement. Their eyes met. In that instant, August saw her own terror reflected back, and beneath it something fiercer hope. "Very well," August heard herself say. "We will manage." The move took place that afternoon. The guest chamber was larger, colder, with a single high window that looked onto the snow-covered orchard. 2 narrow beds were pushed together against the far wall to make room for a table and 2 chairs. A small iron stove crouched in the corner, its pipe disappearing crookedly through the wall. The beds remained separate, barely, but now the gap between them was less than the width of a breviary. That night the temperature plummeted. The stove gulped wood and gave back sullen, reluctant heat. August and Helene undressed in silence, backs turned, movements precise as a ritual dance. When they knelt for the nightly examination of conscience, the floorboards burned with cold through their habits. They rose at the same moment. For a long heartbeat, neither moved toward her own bed. Helene spoke first, so softly it might have been the wind. "I cannot sleep alone tonight, not in this cold." August's answer was a single step forward, then another. She reached Helene's bedside and stood there, tall and trembling, the Mother Superior reduced to a woman who no longer knew how to ask. Helene pulled back the blanket in silent invitation. August lay down fully clothed, boots removed, veil still pinned. The mattress dipped beneath her weight. Helene shifted to make room, and suddenly they were side by side, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, the coarse wool of their habits the only barrier left. Neither moved to close the final inch. Outside, the orchard trees cracked in the frost like distant gunshots. Inside, the stove settled with a metallic sigh. August could feel Helene's warmth through layers of surge, could hear the small, frightened rapidity of her breathing. Minutes passed, or hours. It was August who broke first. She turned on her side, facing Helene, and with infinite slowness lifted one hand to rest, no more than rest, against the younger woman's cheek. The skin was fever-hot despite the cold. Helene's eyes fluttered closed. A single tear slipped from beneath her lashes and traced a shining path to the pillow. August brushed it away with her thumb. The gesture undid them both. Helene turned fully into the embrace, burying her face against August's neck. August's arms came around her without permission, pulling her closer, until there was no space left for denial or rule or fear. They held each other like shipwrecked souls clinging to the same spar, trembling with the violence of what had been dammed up for months. No kiss, no caress beyond the fierce circle of arms. Yet it was the most intimate moment of August's 52 years. She felt Helene's heartbeat hammering against her own, felt the dampness of tears that were not only Helene's soaking the collar of her habit. "I am lost," August whispered into the darkness, the confession torn from the deepest part of her. "No," Helene answered, voice muffled against her throat. "We are found." They fell asleep like that, entwined, fully clothed, the stove ticking itself into embers while outside the snow continued to fall, thick and merciful, covering every track, every sin, every trace of the world that had once kept them apart. When the matins bell rang hours later, they woke still clasped together. For one suspended moment, they looked at each other in the grey pre-dawn, eyes wide with wonder and terror. Then, wordlessly, they separated. They rose, straightened veils and habits, smoothed blankets with shaking hands. They opened the door and stepped into the corridor as though nothing had changed. But everything had. The weight of white, snow outside, habits within, the pure and terrible color of surrender had settled over them both, and there was no going back. February 1893, the thaw came suddenly. A false spring that turned the cloisters into shallow rivers and filled the air with the smell of wet earth and resurrection. The east wing was nearly finished. The masons sang as they worked, their voices drifting over the orchard like rough plainchant. Soon the illusion of necessity that had kept Auguste and Helene behind one locked door would end. They both felt the days slipping like sand. In the new cell, they had perfected a secret grammar. A hand left a fraction longer on a psalter passed in choir. A shared glance during the silent meal that carried whole paragraphs of longing. At night, they no longer pretended to occupy separate beds. They slept clasped together beneath both blankets, habits loosened just enough to feel the warmth of skin through linen, waking before the bell to separate with the precision of conspirators. No mouths had met, no final barrier crossed, yet every night they drowned a little deeper. Auguste began to live in terror of discovery. She saw accusation in every sister's glance, heard footsteps in the corridor as the portress making her rounds. She took to burning her private papers each week in the little stove, old letters from her family long dead, spiritual journals that now read like mockery. The flames devoured her past so that no evidence of the woman she had been might betray the woman she was becoming. On the eve of St. Valentine, the post brought a thick envelope addressed in a hand Auguste did not recognize. It was delivered to her during recreation. The sister portress handed it over with a curious tilt of the head. Auguste carried it unopened to the cell and locked the door, an act so unusual that Helene, copying manuscripts at the table, looked up in alarm. Auguste slit the seal with trembling fingers. Inside were letters, her own letters, written 25 years earlier when she was a young professed sister at the Carmel of Campigny. Love letters, raw and incandescent, addressed to another novice who had left the order 6 months after reception and vanished into the world. Auguste had believed them destroyed decades ago. Now they lay in her lap like living coals. A smaller note was folded on top, in Isabelle Lecompte's unmistakable green ink. Reverend Mother, I found these among my aunt's papers after her death last month. Sister Claire, later Madame Duval, kept them all her life. She asked that they be returned to you when the time was right. I think the time is now. You once told me refuges can become cages. Some cages have keys. Use yours. Auguste's hands shook so violently the pages rustled like dry leaves. She remembered writing them by candle stubs, heart hammering, certain that each word was mortal sin. She remembered the agony of watching Claire walk out the gate in secular clothes, the years of self-scourging that followed. She had believed the wound cauterized forever. Helene rose and came to stand behind her. She read over Auguste's shoulder without asking permission. There were no longer boundaries of that kind between them. Auguste tried to turn to hide the pages, but Helene's arms came around her from behind, gentle but immovable. "Let me see," she whispered against Auguste's veil. "Let me see all of you." Auguste's breath hitched. One by one, Helene took the letters, unfolded them, read the fevered declarations of a 27-year-old heart. I dream of your mouth. I would damn myself 1,000 times for 1 hour in your arms. God, forgive me. I love you more than God. With each page, Helene's embrace tightened until August was shaking against her, tears long frozen finally breaking free. When the last letter was read, Helene carried them to the stove. The iron door creaked open, red embers glowed within. "No," August heard herself say, the voice cracked and strange. "They are mine. My shame." "They are ours now," Helene answered. She fed the pages in slowly, one by one, watching the flames curl the edges black, watching the words flare and die. "Your shame is my inheritance, and I refuse it." August sank to her knees on the bare boards. Helene knelt behind her, arms still encircling her waist, cheek pressed between her shoulder blades. "I was 27, August whispered to the fire. 27 and convinced I had murdered my soul. I built a cathedral of penance on the grave of that love. And God sent me you to show me the grave was empty." Helene turned her then, gently, until they faced each other on their knees in the cold room. The stove crackled behind them, devouring the last of the past. "I am not asking you to leave," Helene said, voice raw. "I am asking you to stay, truly stay with me, not as mother superior and novice, as August and Helene, two women who love beyond permission." August looked into the storm-grey eyes and saw her own terror reflected, and beneath it, an unwavering courage she had never possessed at 27. She lifted both hands and, for the first time, unpinned her own veil. The heavy black fabric fell away, iron-grey hair, still thick, loosened around her shoulders. Then she reached for Helene's veil and removed it with the same deliberate reverence. Golden-brown strands escaped their confinement, brushing August's cheek like silk. They leaned forward at the same moment. Their foreheads touched, breath mingled. The world narrowed to the scent of warm skin and wood smoke and the faint salt of tears. No kiss yet. The moment was too large for mouths. They simply held each other, unveiled, trembling on the knife edge of everything they had ever vowed against. Outside, the false spring rain began to fall, soft and warm, washing the last snow from the orchard. Inside, two women knelt in the ruins of their old lives while the stove finished its quiet work, burning 25 years of shame to ash. When the Vespers bell rang an hour later, they rose together. They repinned veils with hands that no longer shook. They opened the door and stepped into the corridor as Reverend Mother and Novice once more. But the ashes in the stove were still warm, and somewhere deep beneath wool and wimple, two bare hearts beat in perfect, dangerous unison. 28 February 1893, eve of St. Agnes, the East Wing was finished. The masons packed their tools at none, singing bawdy songs as they tramped down the muddy lane toward the village. By Vespers, the scaffolding was gone. The new cells smelled of fresh lime wash and pine resin, and the community buzzed with quiet triumph. Tomorrow, the sisters would move back to their proper places. The necessity that had kept August and Helene behind one locked door was over. Neither woman had slept the night before. They performed their duties with flawless precision. August presided at chapter. Helene sang the responsory at Vespers with a voice so pure it drew tears from the eldest sisters. Yet every glance between them carried the same silent message: tonight is the last. After compline, the corridors filled with the soft shuffle of returning sisters, the creak of doors opening onto long, empty cells. August and Helene lingered in the guest chamber, folding blankets, stacking breviaries, delaying the inevitable separation with small, unnecessary tasks. At last, there was nothing left to do. The stove was cold, the lamp trimmed low. Helene stood at the high window looking out over the orchard. The false spring had retreated, A hard frost silvered the branches again. The old linden tree stood bare and black against the stars. August came to stand behind her. For a long moment they simply breathed the same air. "I will not go back," Haleen said quietly. "Not to separate cells. Not to 4 feet of silence. I would rather die." August closed her eyes. She had rehearsed 100 speeches: duty, obedience, the salvation of both their souls. None of them survived contact with the tremor in Haleen's voice. Instead, she said, "Come with me." They slipped out through the side door that led to the herb garden. The night was bitter, the sky a bowl of sharp stars. Their boots crunched on frozen gravel. No one saw them. The community was already enclosed in the great silence. The linden waited at the far end of the garden, the same tree that had witnessed their first confession in the snow. Its branches were laced with ice that glittered like shattered glass. Beneath it, the ground was bare, swept clean by wind. August stopped in the tree's deep shadow. Haleen turned to her. For a heartbeat, the only sound was their breathing white plumes in the moonlight. Then August reached up and unpinned both their veils at once. The black fabric fell to the frozen earth like shed wings. Moonlight poured over them, Haleen's hair a pale flame, August's iron grey and silver in the frost light. They looked at each other without barriers for the first time since the night the letters burned. Haleen spoke first, voice low and fierce. "Tell me to stay and I will stay. Tell me to go and I will go, but do not ask me to live half alive any longer." August lifted a trembling hand and laid it against Haleen's cheek. The skin was cold, yet it burned. "I have no right to ask anything of you," she whispered. "I have only this." She leaned forward the final inch and pressed her lips to Haleen's. It was not gentle. It was 30 years of starvation breaking its chains. Haleen made a small broken sound and surged into the kiss, hands rising to cradle August's face as though it were something holy and breakable. Mouths opened, breath mingled, tears froze on cheeks. The kiss tasted of salt and myrrh and the faint sweetness of the honey cakes they had shared at collation. It tasted of absolution neither church nor world would ever grant them. They clung together beneath the linden, bodies pressed full length, habits no defense against the heat pouring between them. Hands moved slowly, reverently, August's fingers threading through Haleen's loosened hair, Haleen's palms sliding down August's back as if mapping sacred territory. There was no haste, only the stunned wonder of permission finally, impassibly, given. When they drew apart, it was only far enough to breathe. Foreheads still touching, noses brushing, lips swollen and shining with shared tears. "I love you," August said against Haleen's mouth, the words clumsy and new after a lifetime of silence. "God help me, I love you more than salvation." Haleen laughed once, a soft, sobbing sound of pure joy. "Then let us be damned together." They kissed again, slower this time, learning the shape of surrender. The frost crackled overhead as the linden's iced branches shifted in the wind. Somewhere far off an owl called, mournful and alone. Eventually cold drove them indoors, but not apart. They walked back hand in hand, veils forgotten on the ground, hair unbound beneath the stars. At the garden door, August paused. "Tomorrow they will expect us to separate." Haleen's grip tightened. "Then we will refuse." August looked at her, at the fierce, defiant beauty of the woman she loved, at the courage she herself had never possessed until this moment. "Yes," she said simply. They entered the convent together, fingers still laced, hearts beating in one wild rhythm. Behind them the linden stood sentinel, its roots drinking deep of the frozen earth, its branches glittering with frost that would melt by morning. Inside, the corridors were dark and silent. They did not go to separate cells. They went to the guest chamber that had become sanctuary, closed the door, and turned the key for the last time. Outside, the convent slept. Inside, two women knelt together on the cold floor, not in penance but in thanksgiving, and then rose into each other's arms as though they had been waiting lifetimes for this single blazing night. No further barrier fell. Not yet. But the kiss beneath the linden had already changed everything. Tomorrow the world would demand answers. Tonight there was only the fierce, tender certainty that love, once spoken aloud beneath bare branches and winter stars, could never again be silenced. 1 March 1893, the day after St. Agnes, the convent woke to a sky the color of pewter and the smell of thawing earth. At prime, the bell rang as usual sounded, but the corridors carried an undercurrent of unease. 2 black veils had been found at dawn beneath the linden tree, stiff with frost, and carried to the linen room by a puzzled postulant. By the time the community gathered for breakfast, the whispers had begun. August and Helene entered the refectory together. They walked the required 3 paces apart, yet something in the set of their shoulders, in the way their eyes no longer dropped when they met, betrayed them. Sister Cecile's spoon paused halfway to her mouth. Old Sister Therese, half blind and usually oblivious, turned her head as though she had heard a trumpet. During the silent meal, August's voice, when she read from the Martyrology, was steady, but the hand that turned the pages trembled once, unmistakably. Helene did not bow her head at the customary points. She looked straight ahead, chin lifted, as though daring the entire refectory to speak. The storm broke in chapter. The chapter house was a low stone room smelling of damp and candle smoke. The sisters sat in a semicircle on backless benches, Mother Auguste on the raised chair beneath the wooden crucifix. It was the weekly culpa, the moment when faults were confessed publicly and penances assigned. Usually the litany was mild, a broken dish, a late rising, a sharp word. Today the air crackled. When the minor confessions ended, Sister Cecile rose. She was pale but resolute. "Reverend Mother," she said, "with sorrow I accuse myself. And I accuse our superior and our novice Sister Helene of grave scandal. Last night they were seen returning from the garden after compline, unveiled and hand in hand. Their veils were found this morning beneath the linden. I accuse them of having broken the great silence, the enclosure, and God forgive me for saying it, the vow of chastity in spirit if not yet in act." A collective intake of breath rippled through the room. Helene's face went white, but she did not lower her eyes. Auguste sat motionless, only the pulse beating at her throat betraying life. Sister Cecile continued, voice shaking. "I further accuse myself of cowardice for not speaking sooner. There have been signs for weeks, shared glances, lingering in the cell after the bell, the moving of beds." She stopped, tears spilling. "I beg pardon for my silence and for the pain this causes our community." Silence fell, thick and suffocating. Auguste rose. Every eye followed her. She looked slowly around the circle of faces she had known for decades, some loving, some afraid, some already condemning. "My daughters," she said, and her voice did not waver. "Sister Cecile has spoken truth. I will not compound fault with falsehood." A single step brought her down from the dais. She walked to the center of the floor and knelt, not on the cushioned prie-dieu reserved for the superior, but on the bare stone. "I, Mother Marie Auguste of the Sacred Heart, unworthy superior of this house, accuse myself before God. and before you of having loved Sister Haleen with a love that surpasses the limits of holy charity. I have desired her. I have touched her. I have kissed her. I have lain in her arms. I stand ready to accept whatever penance Holy Mother Church and this community decree, even deposition and exclustration, if that is your conscience demands it. Gasps echoed off the vaulted ceiling. Several sisters began to weep openly. Haleen rose at once. Without waiting for permission, she walked to August's side and knelt beside her, their shoulders touching. I, Sister Haleen of the Holy Face, she said clearly, accuse myself of the same. I have loved our Reverend Mother with my whole heart, soul, and body. I do not repent of the love, only of the pain it has caused this house. I beg you to punish me alone. She acted only to shield me. Auguste turned her head. No, she said softly, loud enough for all to hear. We stand or fall together. For a long moment no one moved. Then old Sister Therese, 91 years professed and nearly blind, stood with the help of her stick and shuffled forward. She placed a gnarled hand on Auguste's bowed head. My child, she croaked, in 70 years I have seen many things hidden behind these walls. I have seen hatred dressed as zeal, pride dressed as humility. I have never seen love brave enough to kneel in the open and speak its name. She looked around the circle, eyes milky but fierce. Let the one without stain cast the first stone. A murmur rose. Some sisters wept harder. Others stared at the floor. Sister Cecile spoke again, voice breaking. What are we to do? Auguste lifted her head. We will write to the bishop this day. We will ask for dispensation from our vows, or for transfer to a house where such love is not counted sin. If he refuses, we will leave religious life together and accept whatever excommunication follows. But we will not lie, and we will not separate. Haleen's hand found Auguste's on the cold stone. Their fingers interlaced openly, defiantly. The chapter ended in disorder. No penance was assigned. The sisters filed out in stunned silence, some crossing themselves, some reaching out trembling hands to touch Auguste's sleeve as they passed, as though she were already a relic. When the room was empty, Auguste and Haleen remained kneeling, hands still joined. Outside the narrow window the thaw had begun in earnest. Water dripped from the eaves like slow, steady tears. Auguste turned to Haleen. Are you afraid? Haleen smiled, small, fierce, radiant. Terrified, she said, and free. Auguste brought their joined hands to her lips and kissed Haleen's knuckles once, reverently. Then let us be terrified and free together, she answered. That afternoon they wrote the letter side by side at the small desk, two heads bent over the same page, one grey, one gold-brown, both unveiled. The ink flowed black and certain. Whatever answer came from the bishop, mercy or condemnation, the convent bell would ring on without them, or with them transformed. Either way, the stone and the sparrow had finally chosen the same sky. March-April 1893, the letter left the convent on the feast of St. Joseph, sealed with red wax and the Carmelite crest, carried by the trusted lay brother who brought supplies from Rouen. Auguste handed it over without ceremony, but her fingers lingered on the parchment as though it were Haleen's own skin. Then began the waiting. Days lengthened into weeks. The orchard burst into reluctant blossom. Pale pink petals drifted across the cloister garth like snow that had forgotten how to be cold. The community moved through the offices in a strange hush. No one spoke openly of the chapter of faults, yet the absence of punishment hung heavier than any penance could have. Sisters found reasons to pass the Mother Superior's cell, to catch a glimpse of the two women who now worked side by side at the same desk, heads sometimes touching as they copied manuscripts or shared a single breviary. August and Haleen no longer hid. They did not flaunt. There was no need. They simply refused the old disguises. When they walked the corridor to chapel, the distance between them had shrunk to the width of two joined hands swinging gently, hidden in the folds of their wide sleeves. In choir, they occupied neighboring stalls, and when the great doxology rose Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, their voices twined so inseparably that even Sister Cecile, dry-eyed for the first time in weeks, felt something inside her soften. The bishop did not answer. Holy Week came. The chapel was stripped bare, altars draped in purple, the tabernacle open and empty. On Maundy Thursday, the community kept the night watch in turns. August and Haleen took the midnight hour together. They knelt before the altar of repose, surrounded by hothouse lilies whose perfume was almost unbearable, and for the first time they prayed not with fear but with gratitude. Their joined hands rested openly on the prie-dieu rail, the flickering candles painted gold across their uncovered heads. Good Friday brought torrential rain. The crucifix was veiled in black, and the solemn liturgy of the Passion was read while water drummed on the roof like impatient fists. When the moment came for the adoration of the cross, each sister approached barefoot, kissed the wounded feet of Christ, and retreated. When Haleen knelt and pressed her lips to the carved wood, August saw her shoulders shake with silent weeping. When August herself bent to the cross, she tasted salt, her own tears, or Haleen's, she no longer knew. Still no word from the diocese. Easter Sunday dawned clear and cold. The chapel blazed with white and gold, the paschal candle towered like a pillar of fire. The sisters sang the exsultet until their voices cracked with joy. At the end of Mass, August stood before the community in her stall and spoke the traditional words, "Christ is risen, my daughters." And for the first time in living memory, the entire community answered not with the usual subdued, "He is risen indeed," but with Haleen's clear, defiant voice leading them, "Alleluia! He is risen indeed." That afternoon, a carriage splashed through the mud of the lane and stopped at the gate. The bishop had not come himself. He had sent his vicar general, Monseigneur Delorme, a thin, ascetic priest with eyes like winter rivers. August and Haleen received him in the small parlour. They knelt for his blessing, but when he told them to rise, they did so together, and stood side by side. Monseigneur Delorme did not sit. He placed a letter on the table between them, the episcopal seal already broken. "His Excellency has read your request with care," he began, voice dry as parchment. "He reminds you both that vows made to God are eternal. He refuses dispensation. He further decrees that Mother Auguste be removed from office immediately and transferred to the Carmel of Lycia for a period of strict penance and discernment. Sister Haleen is to be sent to the house in Saigon until such time as the disturbance has passed." The words fell like stones into still water. August felt Haleen sway beside her, but the younger woman's hand found hers beneath the folds of their scapulars and held fast. Monseigneur Delorme continued, softer now. "His Excellency offers you one night to prepare yourselves in prayer. The carriage will return at dawn. He prays you will accept this mercy and obey." He left them alone with the letter. Silence pooled in the parlour, thick and airless. Haleen spoke first. "Saigon," she said, tasting the word. "Half a world away. They think distance will kill what lies between us." August picked up the letter, turned it over once, and let it fall. "They are wrong," she said. Night came swiftly. The community had already retired, the corridors were dark. August and Helene walked to their cell, no longer pretending it was anything but theirs, and closed the door for the last time within these walls. They did not pack. There was nothing they wished to take except each other. At midnight, they knelt together before the small crucifix on the wall. They did not ask for strength to obey. They asked only for courage to choose. When matins would have rung, they rose instead. They donned the secular clothes that had been quietly procured weeks earlier, simple black wool for August, grey for Helene, hidden beneath folded linens in the infirmary. Veils were left neatly on the beds. Habits were folded with the same reverence they had once been assumed. They slipped out through the kitchen garden just before dawn, past the rosemary that Helene had tended for a year, past the linden now heavy with new green leaves. The gate was locked, but the postern beside it opened with the key August had carried for 20 years as superior. Beyond lay the lane, ankle-deep in mud, leading to the village and the railway station beyond. They did not look back. At the bend in the road, August paused. The first pale light touched the convent roof behind them, gilding the cross atop the chapel. For a moment, grief threatened to buckle her knees, grief for the life she had believed eternal, for the sisters who would wake to empty places. Helene took her face between steady hands. "We are not leaving God," she said fiercely. "We are following where love has led. The same love that led Mary to the stable, Mary Magdalene to the tomb." August drew a shaking breath, then nodded. She pressed one last kiss to Helene's palm, tasting earth and rosemary and future. Hand in hand they walked into the rising sun. Two women in plain dresses, hair unbound, carrying nothing but each other and the fierce, terrifying freedom of having chosen love over every certainty they had ever been taught to revere. Behind them, the convent bell began to toll for prime, its bronze voice rolling across the fields like a heartbroken question. Ahead of them, the road stretched east, toward Paris, toward whatever life awaited two exiles who had finally understood that grace is not always found behind walls. The stone and the sparrow had taken flight together, and somewhere, in the heart of the linden tree they had left behind, a single green shoot pushed upward through the scar where frost had once bitten deep, tender, tenacious, impossibly alive. The end. The bell tolls once more, softer now, farther away, like a lover's sigh carried on the wind. The stone and the sparrow are gone from those walls, yet somewhere beyond the horizon they still walk hand in hand, hair unbound, hearts finally matching the rhythm they were born for. Can you feel it? The lingering warmth on your own skin, the faint taste of frost and rosemary on your tongue, the echo of a kiss that refused every silence ever imposed upon it. Thank you, loves, for staying with them until the very last step, for letting their forbidden heartbeat become yours for a little while. If your pulse is still racing, if your breath still catches at the thought of love that dares everything, whisper that one secret word in the comments you promised me earlier. I'm waiting to know what darkness you want me to light next. And if you haven't already, let your finger rest, just for a moment, on subscribe. So the next time a bell rings in the night, you'll feel it in your chest before it even sounds. There are more dark love stories waiting, restless, aching to be told. When you're ready for another slow burn beneath sacred vows or shadowed crowns, they'll be here breathing, waiting for you. Until then, carry their courage like a hidden flame. Good night, beautiful rebels. Dream bravely.